It had been years since I had climbed this rock. Our kids were now teens, and we had come as a family to the ranch for vacation. And part of that included a picnic at Medicine Rock State Park. This park was named for the history of the Native Americans making medicine here. The breeze was warm and dry with just a hint of sage as we trudged across the park toward our goal. Then we saw it, Castle Rock, and agreed that it must be climbed once again. As kids, we had worn out more than one pair of jeans on these sandstones. Now I was inviting my wife and kids to experience what had been one of the high points of my childhood. We started up the vertical face of this large rock where there was a large crack. After a lot of sweat and ingenuity, we all arrived on top. We could see the smiling eyes of a local farmer as he flew his small plane directly at us while we waved back from atop Castle Rock. What a thrill. Then it dawned on me that we were going to have to go back down. Now, going down turned out to be more difficult and more nerve-wracking than I had thought. But after many strategic moves, we found ourselves back on ground level, safe and sound. I'm not convinced that I would have made the attempt if I had been alone, but there's something about doing things together as a group that adds joy and excitement to any adventure. This is one of the truths about church. The walk of faith can be challenging at times and made worse if we're climbing alone. Many times during this climb, we have found it necessary to encourage each other on the face of Castle Rock, just as we find it necessary to encourage each other when life gets a bit difficult. Let us hold unswervingly to the hope we profess, for he who promised is faithful. And let us consider how we may spur one another on toward good deeds. Love and good deeds, not giving up meeting together as some are in the habit of doing, but encouraging one another. And all the more as you see the day approaching. That's Hebrews chapter 10, verses 23 through 25. There's something about going through trials as a group that acts like glue to relationships, binding the parties together. As our culture moves farther from our Christian roots, it becomes even more important to find people of like precious faith who can encourage us and will respond to our need for community. When we face trials in life, our first reaction is often to isolate and lick our wounds. And in fact, some go so far as to wallow in the sweet goo of pity party, making matters worse. It's easier to reach out if a person is already established in a small group because trusting bonds have already been made. So as the writer reminds us, don't forsake those relationships. Have a wonderful day. Bye-bye.